Hi, my name is Michael Hicks, and this week we are looking at the importance of standard operating procedures in Aviation 360. So, what is an SOP? In most basic terms, it is a procedure that is designed to keep the aircraft in safe, controlled flight, or just keep the aircraft safe. ICAO, they say that SOPs are universally recognized as being basic to safe aviation operations. So they help create safe practices. They most likely help instill a strong safety culture. Um, while they are practical and appropriate, they're going to be different for each scenario. So a aircraft that is building ice on the wing in cruise flight is going to have a different SOP from an aircraft that is having ice accumulation while sitting on the ramp. Same things happening, different areas of flight, different SOPs. But at the end of the day, they are designed to either maintain safe and controlled flight or get you back to it. So what happens if you don't follow it? Well, FedEx found out the hard way. This happened in January of 2009 to FedEx's ATR 42 902 Fox X-ray. They left Fort Worth, Texas at about 3 a.m. under IMC conditions, and they were on approach into Lubbock at about 4:30 a.m., also in IMC conditions with icing conditions present. The first officer was flying the approach, and when she asked for flaps 15, the captain input the command, and the flaps didn't deploy correctly. When the captain looked around, he said that they had no flaps, which isn't entirely accurate. The right wing flaps didn't deploy at all, and the left wing flaps only partially deployed. So they had an asymmetrical flap deployment. Now, whether the flaps deployed asymmetrically or they didn't deploy at all, the standard operating procedure for their company is to apply full power and execute a go-around. That is in their SOPs. It's in their quick reference handbook, which was in the cockpit. Neither one of them referenced it. Neither one of them did it, even though they're well aware that it's what you should do. The captain decided to quite literally go off script and try to figure out what was going on his own without any help from references or anything like that. So he's not paying attention to the aircraft. The first officer is too busy fighting the aircraft to keep it on an already unstable approach. So she's not paying attention to the aircraft either, other than to fly it. And because of that lack of attention paid to the aircraft, the airspeed was allowed to degrade and go below the minimum safe approach speed during icing conditions. That caused the aircraft to enter a stall multiple times. There are multiple warnings for oral alerts, stick shaker events, and the fact that by 1,400 feet the aircraft was falling at 2,050 feet a minute, that should have been a dead giveaway that something's not right. However, the only thing that ever happened that could have been possibly right was the first officer suggested that they do a go-around. The captain ignored and then followed that ignored command up by taking control himself. So he didn't do much better. This is the outcome of not following the SOPs. You can see in the bottom left, they almost got to the runway, but not quite. And then they ended up off the runway anyway, about a little less than halfway down. And the NTSB says that the probable cause is the failure to monitor the airspeed, and it was because they failed to monitor the airspeed in instrument conditions with icing conditions present. They also had contributing factors of failure to follow standard operating procedures. They continued an unstable approach, poor crew resource management. The captain and first officer weren't talking to each other, and fatigue. It's definitely in the window of their circadian low, so they're both probably tired just because of the time of day. But excuse me, this is why I'm a proponent for adhering to standard operating procedures, because this entire accident could have been avoided by following an SOP, which was simply applying full power and doing a go-around. Would have given the crew much more time to figure out what was going on. However, since they decided to ignore the SOP and try to fight the thing to the ground, FedEx ended up with a total loss on the aircraft, and then the captain sustained major injuries, and the first officer sustained minor injuries. While there were no fatalities, I believe this is the best example of a worst outcome that you could possibly have, because it was a total loss of the aircraft. There were injuries, however, nobody died. That all could have been avoided if they just followed the standard operating procedure and did a go-around. They would have been a few minutes late, a few minutes behind schedule, but it's a whole lot better than losing an aircraft and severely injuring your crew. So I thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing everybody else's. Have a good one.